poor people stay poor is because they're pushed to desperation and they have to do desperate things in order to move it through life. And so you can really see that the difference between Elena and Coop is not just one of economic status, but it's in like Elena is doing this because she has to, and Coop is doing it because he needs a thrill.
And you know what? One is worse than the other. Let's talk Your Friends and Neighbors, episode 7.
Coop's back. What is the opening scene in this one? I feel like it's a dream sequence.
It is a dream sequence. He's stealing some Van Cleef necklace choker situation. Right. Yeah. And so we're really just thrown for a loop where we're like, wait, is everything okay? Is he just stealing this? And then he goes downstairs in the weird house. It's his house. And we get Nick's butt, which is great. He's in the kitchen.
Making breakfast in an apron. Just an apron. And then you get Mel, and she's like in a beautiful white dress or whatever. And it's just very like nonsensical and dreamlike of all his nightmares and dreams all trapped together in a room.
Lou's in the pantry, but it's her pawn shop, and she's looking at diamonds and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he wakes up, and he's in the hospital.
Which is jarring, but honestly, it's nice to see that he didn't get off scot-free. You're like, oh, he's beaten up, bruised up. He's got a plug in his nose, all kinds of stuff going on. It's nice. And
finally, some comeuppance. But then, of course, everyone's like, who did this to you? And he's like, I don't know who did this to me. Just some guys. Just some dudes.
And I love the detective comes in pretty soon after, and she's like, just some dudes? Come on. Right, guy? We know what's happening here.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the detective's backstory of being like from Brooklyn or Harlem or whatever it was?
Yeah, I think her accent could use some work. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's a little rough. Mm-hmm. But, I feel like it's a well-known like trope where you've got a cop or a detective who's like really anxious to prove themselves for whatever reason. Yeah. And they're just like, they bulldog, they just bite onto a case and they just won't let go of it because they have a need to prove themselves. And this is that thing where you get a detective who really needs to prove herself and her really bad Brooklyn accent.
I feel like for the audience is a little bit of shorthand storytelling of like, she's cool. She knows hard situations because she's been in Brooklyn. Okay. And the white suburban place is her, not retirement, but it's moving up in status, but also down in stress until she gets a real big case here.
Yeah.
I like that we get to meet Elena's brother at the White Castle. I didn't think White Castle would feature so heavily in this story.
I know.
You ever been to White Castle?
I've never been to White Castle. I feel like I should. I don't even think there's White Castles in Utah.
No, they're Midwestern. They have the frozen ones now in the grocery store, but I'm like, I've driven through Kansas and stopped here once. Who's at a White Castle in New York? I don't know.
Is it good?
No, no. They're little sliders. It's fun, but it's kitschy. It's McDonald's.
Yeah, what a stressful scene.
Yeah, because I think the big bad boss man from the gang, he's there to let Elena know she's got to help her brother out. He's in huge amounts of debt to the gang, to the group. She's got to bail him out. So I like that they add a little bit more stakes. Because we already had some stakes. It was frustrating for her. She needs the money to move up in life. But now it's like, no. Now it's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Now she's got to save her brother.
Yeah. And this is just another example of how, poor people stay poor is because they're pushed to desperation and they have to do desperate things in order to move it through life. And the desperate things have really high risks and really high consequences attached to that. And so, because the gang guys even like, hey, Elena, you moved product for me once upon a time. And it's like, as if Elena has been in this world before. Yeah. And so the brother who did it just got spooked and threw it all into the harbor because he got scared. And so now he's like, I don't know how much he was in debt, but a lot. It was a lot in debt. Yeah. And so you can really see that the difference between Elena and Coop is not just one of like economic status, but it's in like Elena is doing this like the art thieving stuff because she has to. Yeah. And Coop is doing it because he needs a thrill.
And you know what? One is worse than the other.
Yeah.
We have Elena meeting with her uncle with the codes.
Yeah.
And they have a little bit of a tiff and just talking about things and business is good. Okay, don't involve me. And when she brings up her brother, the uncle's like, oh, he's that much in debt? Oh, boy. And it becomes clear that he already knew about it, but he's not helping him out. What would you do? One of your siblings is $250,000 in debt. Do you bail him out?
Bro, I don't know. I'm that sibling.
You're that sibling.
I'm not $250,000 in debt, but I'm the sibling that would be all my sisters would have to bail me out.
Yeah. That's hard. Chivo, I think is his name, the brother. Yeah. Chivo's in debt. What do you do? It's a tough one. I'm excited to see how her story wraps up to the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah, I really hope that Elena gets a satisfying narrative conclusion and that she doesn't have to suffer the consequences of Coop's actions. Granted, she's been an accomplice and a partner in a lot of this, but I think that ideally can take enough consequences to shield Elena. That's the hope.
Because he sure didn't shield Barney. And him visiting Barney in this episode at the hospital is rough. Because it's not what you would expect of, hey, man, what happened? Oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry. Why did those guys beat you up? Barney was like, fuck you. You have a problem. Guys were after you. You fucked me. I don't want to see you. Take your bear and leave.
Yeah.
It's a little more realistic, I think, in my mind, than a lot of movies or shows go where it's like, oh, they're all fine. No. Yeah. You messed up this time.
Yeah. Because I think Barney's getting wise because Coop paid him with a brick of cash that he got from the pawn shop. And so Barney's like, you are involved in a world that I don't want any part of and doesn't really care who suffers consequences. And Barney suffered some consequences.
He looks rough.
Yeah. He got hit by a car so hard.
Yeah.
It was jarring.
And at the same time, Coop heads off to Paul's funeral, sees Samantha. It's awkward. She's like, no, this is not your day. Please keep walking. The detectives are already after me. And as he's at the funeral, the detectives head to his house and break up a little coitus with Allie and her stockee, right?
Yeah. Isn't he her ex-husband?
But he's got a wife right now. So, yeah, I guess maybe ex-husband. Yeah.
So, infidelity runs in the family.
It sure does. It runs in the community, but it really runs in the family.
Yeah. Because that's been our C plot. Our C plot or our D plot has been that Allie is going and playing music at these places, and she ran into her ex at the gym because she went to the gym and to intentionally run into him and reconnect and rekindle and blah, blah, blah. And the ex, I've been there with the ex and doing things with your ex for much longer than you needed to, even though not that I was in a relationship while I was doing things with my ex. Anyways, but the thing is that it's a very human thing that's happening. And Allie and her ex were fucking, and the detective comes with a warrant and searches the house. Yeah. And Allie just sits there while it happens. Because what is she going to do?
She calls Coop at one point. Maybe it's when they're all the way done.
When they're done.
Yeah. Because I know the detectives, that goddamn trunk. Chekhov's trunk opens up at the wrong time.
Yeah.
They see inside the trunk and they know they got him.
Yeah. Do we know what they saw in there?
I don't think we do, but I
don't think it's revealed.
My guess, I guess my guess would have been jewels or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, we don't actually know what was in the trunk.
All we know is they come to get him.
Yeah. Because I think because the reason that they are so intent on catching Coop is because, number one, Paul's dead.
Yeah.
Number two, there were rumors about Coop and Paul having a little fight at Nick's party. And then number three, there was extra blood at the crime scene coming from Coop that they identified as Coop's blood at the crime scene. And so they're like, oh, so they can place him there by Paul's body, and which is why they got the warrant in the first place. And then whatever they saw in the trunk was enough that the detective comes and crashes the party. Yeah. The funeral, sorry.
The funeral. Well, funeral party. With wedding planning, of course, I noticed different decoration things. I'm like, oh, those are Chiavari chairs. Okay, those are expensive. It's a fancy funeral. I like that we get to see Coop getting his mugshot. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
A little bit of comeuppance. Now, him being charged with the murder, we feel a little unjust about, obviously, because we're like, oh, we, the audience, know it wasn't him.
Yeah.
Come on. The lawyer is the lawyer from their garden parties, right?
Because Allie tells him that they're coming for him at the funeral.
Yeah.
And then Coop's like, oh, shit. So he goes up to the lawyer lady and he's like, hey, I need you to represent me. She's like, it's conflict of interest. I can't represent you. Yeah. But he's like, no, I don't think you understand. You're going to represent me because if you don't, I'll tell everyone that you're fucking your daughter's boyfriend.
Yep.
Which is what he learned many episodes ago when he was sneaking into their house and stole a bottle of wine from them before Nick's party.
Just the things you learn from snooping around.
Yeah. Notably, so far, zero consequences or even zero regret from Mel for cheating on Nick with her ex-husband. Not even a slight sign of regret on her. Remorse. It was just like, oh, hunky-dory. Everything's cool.
You ever read or listened to Esther Perel?
I know who she is, yeah.
Mating in Captivity and all that stuff.
Yeah.
She's interesting because listening to her podcast, especially, which is just her in therapy with people, really opened my eyes to why I was just like, wow, the number of people that cheat is insane. And the different feelings. And that oftentimes she even says herself, sometimes when you tell another person it's more for you than it is for them, it's going to be more hurtful than helpful. And I'm like, what? How could you just not tell somebody? Watching this, I wonder if Mel has the maturity / her perceived discretion to say it's better that she just never tell Nick, that it's fine and it was a one-time thing and it was Coop and Coop's still an asshole. Okay.
Yeah, because we don't really know what that whole thing meant to Mel. We know to Coop it was like, oh my gosh, this is the power that I need, or this is the thing that I needed to like know that I need to get my life back. But for Mel, that could have just been like, hey, look, Coop, we just had a fun weekend and this isn't my life now.
And she knew.
And, yeah. I mean, we're guessing at that point, but it's possible this likely where the story is going to go, where she's going to be like, I actually really like Nick and I don't need to, it was good to revisit that, but I don't need to reopen it with you.
Yeah. And Nick's a good guy, right? We like Nick in general.
I don't know.
An asshole.
Yeah.
Guy.
I think he's just a lovable idiot, I think, where there's nothing inherently wrong with him other than he's just dumb.
Yeah.
He's selling toilets. He can't read his own partner's emotions very well. He personalizes. Okay, so there are things wrong with him.
There are some things wrong with them. Yeah. All right. In that case, we don't know who's the best partner for anybody, or if they're good for anybody.
I don't know.
All we do know is Coop's in prison. He's got a lawyer, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And we wrap up the episode on not just a cliffhanger, but there's no settling. It's just he's in prison. He's on the news. What next? We don't know.
Yeah. And the voiceover narration is him being like, over the last however long, 5 months, 3 months or whatever, like laying here in this jail cell, like blah, blah, blah. He's like, this is the best sleep I've had in a long time. Yeah. Because finally I can quit pretending and just be where I'm supposed to be, which is in jail because he's a criminal.
Yeah, it's that game of all criminals want to be caught. Is it true that they all want to be caught? And that maybe they just want someone to recognize them and to be seen?
Yeah.
Maybe Coop just needed this.
Yeah, it's tough because he's clearly being charged with something that he's not responsible for. But how much digging can the cops do into his life before they realize that he's a cat burglar? A cat burglar. He's a thief. Yeah. He's the one behind all these things. And so even if he doesn't go down for the murder, he's going to go down for something. I was thinking this could become one of those Hannibal Lecter sort of things where he's in jail and they're using him to solve the case of the week sort of thing. That's season 2. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Season 2. We've got 2 more episodes this season, episode 8 and 9. But we already have season 2 greenlit. It's the thing we keep talking about. We love it. They trust the show. It's coming back. So I'm interested to see how they wrap it up the last 2 episodes. Any predictions?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to... I think... Here's my hope. My hope is that Elena doesn't suffer any consequences. I don't want her to... She can't go down. I think that Coop is on a moral journey, and the moral journey is realizing that he's not at the center of the story and that it's okay for him to suffer consequences if it means other people don't have to suffer consequences. Yeah. I think that he's going to get his heart broken with Mel. I think Mel's literally going to say, that was a really fun day to remember like what it was that we had, but I can't, like, I'm not interested in reopening that. I think Allie is probably going to get some comeuppance from messing around with her ex-husband. And I think Barney's gonna probably figure out the world that Coop is in, and honestly probably want to get into it because he also needs money.
Yeah, he's in a tight
spot. See that. I see that happening because he's also dumb.
Because he is also dumb. You're right. And there's all these pressures, and he sees violence or stupidity as the answer, like we saw last episode with burning down his house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who killed Paul. I hope it's not Sam. I don't know.
But it was like executioner style. It was like 2 in the body, 1 in the head. And she was in Boston, remember?
Oh, that's right. Couldn't have been Sam.
Couldn't have been her.
And I don't think it's his current girlfriend, who, whatever the girl's name is. I don't remember. No one else in the show does either.
No one else in the show knows her.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little stuck. I don't think it was Christian. I don't think it was Nick that killed him, but I'm excited to find out who it is.
Yeah.
Whoever's got the issue with Paul enough. Do you think it's an unreliable narrator? Did Coop actually kill him?
That's a good question.
Could he pull a trickery and be like, the scene I showed you the first episode and seventh wasn't entirely accurate?
That's a good question. I didn't think about that because he is the narrator. And if we know anything about him is that he's unreliable in all of his friends and family's life. And so that would actually be a really good narrative twist. And I would actually really enjoy that if it was like, we just spent 7 episodes watching Coop be unreliable for everyone in his life. What makes us think as the audience that he's reliable for us in telling us stories? Although we haven't really seen him, I don't know. We saw him punch him, but executioner style, I don't know.
We haven't seen a reason enough for him to be that murderous. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be fun. You know what? Apple TV or whoever else is writing shows out there, you've heard it here. It would be fun to have an unreliable narrator halfway through the show go, actually, I killed him. Well, let's wrap it up for today. We will be back next week with another episode 8 of Your Friends and Neighbors next Friday. Make sure you watch on Apple TV Plus before you listen to our next episode. And we'll be back on Wednesday, so be sure to tune into that as well. And until then, watch good movies and TV.